Today we're going to be talking about the pop artist James Rizzi. First, let's talk about pop art. So pop art began in the 1950s, and it's a style of art that is described as simple, bold images of everyday items. In this case, for James Rizzi, it has a lot to do with his life growing up in New York. He studied art at the University of Florida, where he developed the style that made him famous. He sometimes included silly birds in his paintings, or did paintings entirely of just birds, which is what we're going to be doing today.
What you're going to need are some watercolors, a pencil, some crayons, and some water with your brush in it. Okay, we're going to make some birds in a straight line in a goofy way. So what you're going to do is you're going to take your pencil, and first we're going to draw a ground line. It can be a straight line, like a road, or a curved line, like a hill. I'm going to go ahead and do that right now with my pencil, all the way across the page, and stop. Then I'm going to start drawing my birds. So for the beak, I'm going to start with a cone, kind of like a triangle, nice and big. And then we're going to make an ice cream scoop on top. Now James Rizzi's birds always had silly eyes, so we're going to draw some eyes. I'll put them close together. Can't forget about the pupil. And now here comes the fun part. Sometimes they had hair. And the body can be in sort of a funny way. So I might have his twisted a little bit. So I'm going to make a curved line and scoop it up. Now we're going to work on the legs. You can have them straight, you can have them crossed, you can have them standing on one foot. It's up to you. But for this first one, I think I'm just going to draw them straight. Those legs, claws, other leg, and I'm going to add some feathers. Okay. And to separate that section, I'm going to make a curved, wavy line right there. Now I'm going to move on to my next bird. Again, ice cream scoop, ice cream cone, ice cream scoop, eyes. Now I'm drawing my bird sort of the same, with the same hairstyle, but his body may be different because we're going to add some silly clothing onto them later. And each picture is going to have another article of clothing on it. So the first one may have a hat, the second one may have a hat and tie, and so on. Maybe I want his body to be the other direction now, just for fun. Now for this one, I might have his legs crossed. Standing on one foot. And I'll add some feathers. And my curved line again. My page down. Now for the third bird, you can guess what's going to happen. So we're going to make the ice cream cone, the ice cream scoop, keeping the same hair because it is the same bird, but maybe he's shifting his body just a little bit. Let's see. I might have that one go in, then out. These legs, I might have them crossed a little bit. Get the eyes and the dots for the pupils and that curved line. Let's add another bird. Again, ice cream cone, ice cream scoop. Let's add those eyes, pupil, his body goes this way, hair, and feathers. We forgot feathers on this one. You don't have to make your feathers like mine. They could be different. Maybe you want feathers on the tail, or both. Now maybe have his leg crossed the other way. You should at least fit 4 birds, but I'm going to be able to fit 5. The last one, ice cream scoop or cone, scoop, eyes, hair. You could give yours a mohawk instead of the 3 little hairs or long hair. That's up to you. Oh, so you had a big lunch. And maybe this one will be, legs are crossed. Okay. One last thing I think I'm going to do are add little lines for some nostrils. Feathers. Okay. Now I'm going to choose a crayon and start outlining my bird. I'm going to outline them all the same color. When I go to add clothing is when I'll use different colors. I'll use blue. And you're just going to outline all your pencil lines. This acts as a barrier, so when we go to use our watercolors, the watercolors are going to skip right over the crayon. It's called crayon resist. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and do all my other birds. Now we're going to start adding the clothing. Now you could go ahead and draw it in pencil first, or you can go right ahead in crayon. It's up to you. But remember, each time we're going to add another article of clothing. I think for the first one, maybe I'll start with a hat. So this is a good reason why I didn't trace over everything yet. Is once I add the hat, the hair is going to disappear. So maybe I'll make his hat green. And I think I'm going to do just, it's going to be so silly. I'm going to do a witch hat. Okay, so I'm going to do a cone top, just like I did for the beak. And go out and curve across. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and color that in right on top of the hair. I could even go ahead and erase it if I really wanted to. So I'm going to go ahead and erase what's inside the hat. Color it in. Make sure there's no white spaces. What happens is when we go to paint this with watercolors, the paint is going to skip over the crayon because wax and water don't mix, and crayons are made out of wax. It's called crayon resist. Now, so we just start out with one article of clothing, his hat. Now I think for the second one, I think I'm going to give him some hat and some socks. I don't know if it's a him or a her, but we're going to start again. I'm going to go right in with the crayon. I'm going to try to make the hat look identical as that one as I can, since it is the same hat. It's almost like we're creating a story. Okay. Again, I could go ahead and erase what's inside because we won't see through the hat. I'm going to color in the hat. Green has to be the same color as before. Okay. Now I'm going to add some socks. I'm going to do purple and green socks. So, just going to make a bigger rectangle around the foot. Same thing with this one. Well, I'm just going to do purple actually. Color those in. Now, if you don't want to see the feet through the socks, I would erase the pencil line first. Okay, now for everyone after that, we're going to add the hat, socks, and I'm going to add something else. So let's go again. First, I'll do the socks this time. Bigger around his foot. Again, right here. Bigger around the foot. Color it in. I'm really taking my time, making sure no white spaces are coming through. Okay, let's go back with that hat. You can have your bird wear a baseball cap. Go ahead and erase the hair. Okay. Now I've went from the hat and socks, hat, socks, and then we'll do a tie. Do a pink tie. The tie is going to be from under his beak. And ties usually have a triangle at the end. So I'm going to go ahead and draw that on all of them now, since I know that from here on out he'll have a tie. The bird will have a tie. Okay. Maybe we'll do stripes. I'm going to do stripes on all of the ties. Again, it's the same tie, same bird. It's like when you get dressed in the morning and you keep adding another layer till you're all ready to go. All right. And before we decide what we want to do with this bird, let's go ahead and add all the other stuff like the hat and the socks. And if your crayon breaks, don't worry about it.
All right. Get the purple for the socks. Might as well add socks on this one too. See, I'm tracing. All right. Give the bird a suit. Make a little scoop. Scoop. And scoop. The scoop. Color it in. Again, you could do a pattern on the suit too, but I'm just going to leave it orange. Be careful not to get outside the lines. Okay, color in this suit. Other side. If your crayon's getting a little too short, you can peel back the paper a little bit. That's okay. Okay. Oh, need the hat. Okay, what is the bird gonna add? I think I'm going to add a pair of glasses. No, I might make around there. Glasses need to have holders around the. Okay. Now that we have our bird fully dressed at the end, it sort of tells a story. We're going to pick a colored crayon. I'd pick a dark colored crayon to go over your pencil lines. And you're going to trace over your bird. Oh, and the lines. So I'm going to start tracing over the eyes. Anywhere I missed with adding clothing. Trace over the head. Over the feathers and the feet. We're also going to trace over that curved line. And the ground line as well. I'm going to start all the way at the other end of the paper. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and trace over all the other birds. Everything is traced over. All the articles of clothing. I have the lines traced, ground line. Now we're ready to start painting. So I got my paints and my brush. And with watercolors, you want to keep your brush mostly wet. So I'm going to dip my brush in, wipe the excess off the side, and I'm going to start painting my bird. We're going to worry about the background a little later. So my bird, again, it's the same bird. All my birds are painted. Now it's time for the background. Pick whatever colors I want. Again, I can go with a pattern, but they have to be different than the bird. Otherwise, your bird won't stand out. Well, maybe for this section, I'm going to do purple. Again, making sure to stay in the first block with the first drawing. Notice how I'm going in one direction with my brush strokes. Back and forth, making sure not to get in the bird. Every once in a while, I'm dipping it back in the brush.
Now if my paper's still wet, I could go in and add little drips of other colors just for fun. And then you see how the watercolor makes it spread, make little polka dots. Okay. Next section. Show off my brush. Maybe this one, the background's going to be green. I can go right over the hat. Huh? You want to be careful. If you go back and forth too much, you can rip your paper. Being careful to go around the bird, get this little tiny section using the side of my brush. I can go right over the socks. You can do the same background, maybe add a different pattern on the wall. It's up to you. All right. For this one, I might do some horizontal lines. I'm sorry, vertical lines. Vertical lines. Skipping over the bird, making sure not to draw directly on the bird. I can draw right over the hat if I want. It would probably finish. And pick up right here. Neat. Okay. Let's move on. Maybe we'll do this one yellow. You can go right over the hat. I'm going to go ahead and finish here and add different patterns. Okay, here's what mine looks like, all painted. Now I just got to paint the bottom. I could do it different colors, or I could do it all one color. Dip my brush in the water. And maybe we'll make it all yellow. Back and forth. With this part, you can do bigger strokes. And just keep going over until I don't see any white spaces. Okay, and that's how we're going to do our James Rizzi inspired birds, telling a story, adding a different article of clothing every time.